Hello again, and we are now here for some Assetto Corsa Competizione action with the McLaren 720S GT3 at Brands Hatch. And of course, Jake, can you give us some facts about the track and give us that grid order?
Well, it's going to be a very tough race ahead of us. That GT3 is going to bite around this Brands Hatch circuit. It's a tough car to get a hold of, and the track is very demanding. Even the best drivers in this field are going to find grip a real premium. And the grid actually gives us a really entertaining race ahead of us, because we've got Kevin Siggy Rebenak and Ehan Jofsky still battling away with each other on the front row of the grid. Igor and Josh are going to share the second row, so they've got a chance of a decent podium. Isaac Gillison way down in fifth on the grid. I mean, that's a big shot coming into this one. We expected him to be challenging the two guys up front, so he's already on the back foot, going to try and charge his way through. Joining him on the third row, Jan Saathoff, still with a card to play in this. Who knows how it's going to finish?
Absolutely, but it looks like they're ready to grid up here. We're ready for the race. So here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We're on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We are in the McLaren 720S GT3 at Brands Hatch GP, and they're doing a formation lap here, Jake, to get themselves in position for a 20-minute race. And well, the favourite is on pole position.
How tough this is going to be for all of them, though. Kevin Siggy Rebenak and Ehan Jofsky on the front row of the grid, separated by just 4 points after 3 competitions. This is going to be a tough one for all of them, though. Particularly, though, the pressure is on Kevin Siggy Rebenak. This is his points advantage to lose. He's only got 4 on Ehan Jofsky up to this point, and this is his game. In the previous 2 titles, Forza 7 and Real Racing 3, the favourite has not been the guy to get the victory. So all of the pressure and all of the intensity is on him, whereas Ehan Jofsky has just got to be like a tiger, fighting out of the cage, straight into that first corner. He will want to get the lead of this race early.
Yeah, and absolutely. But then you've got Igor, you've got Josh, you've got Isaac, and of course Jan. You know, they're going to be wanting to sign off from this competition with huge results themselves. There's also a chance for 3 of those 4 drivers. So yeah, it's still all to play for here at Brands Hatch GP. They are coming around the back end of the circuit. Again, you see them warming their tyres up here. And you know, where are the key areas on this track here for people to make potential overtakes? Where's the best place to defend? You know, obviously you've got the expertise with your track knowledge.
Well, there are a few key points on this circuit. Up into Druids is a very important overtaking opportunity, but you have to nail Paddock Hill Bend to get that right. Coming out of Surtees down Pilgrim's Drop is a really good opportunity to build speed. It's really the only main straight part of the entire circuit, so that's an important one to get right. But then when you've got Hawthorns into Westfield, into Dingledale, into Sheen, there are so many corners that you've got to get absolutely spot on with the apex. One mistake there and it will pay dividends for the guy behind over the course of the next sector. So there are a lot of key areas, even along this sector up towards Clearways and into Clark Curve. You've got to nail it absolutely spot on to get those overtaking moves right. There's a lot that can go wrong, and it's a narrow track too, so these guys will be feeling the tension throughout.
Absolutely. When they do round that final corner, then it is Kevin Siggy Rebenak on pole position. Then it is Ehan Jofsky. Can Ehan go and get ahead here early doors? And then in behind them we've got Igor and of course Josh, then Isaac, and then we've got Jan. As they come up towards the line here then for the race at Brands Hatch GP on Assetto Corsa Competizione. The lights are about to go green here then. Not far to go. And it's green lights here. It's actually a very good start then. Round the outside by Ehan. Can he hang it round the outside through Paddock Hill Bend? You can see that Kevin has to go aggressive here if he wants to hold the lead. And he's got the inside line and up towards turn number 2. Up the hill, under the bridge here. And he's got it done. Ehan Jofsky, bit of contact.
Oh, they've hit each other.
2 leaders. And Isaac's going to make a move here as well. And I think Josh may potentially be in the lead. No, it's not. Who's in the lead of this race? Is it Josh?
Oh, contact with Isaac.
Isaac's off here as well. What a start here.
Unbelievable start. Absolutely incredible. Now Jan has had to take to the grass to take avoiding action. Comes right across in front of. Now who was that? That was Isaac Gillison. He managed to cut across in front of. We're on board with Igor Rodriguez, now in second position behind Kevin Siggy Rebenak.
So Kevin is in the lead here, but that's going to be looked at for sure. He's gone in there far too hot.
Well, the thing is, Ehan covered the outside line, and Kevin decided to commit to that inside line regardless. Ehan got the racing line on the inside line. Ehan's going to be hopping mad, and he's now got to try and just keep the composure throughout this race. But even if Kevin does get a problem in this race, Ehan is still only looking at 4th or 5th position from this race at the moment. This is not looking good for him.
Yeah, this is not looking good at all, and I'm sure the steward's going to be looking at that, because for me, I think Ehan pulled an unbelievable move off. got the green flag, better reactions than Ziggy. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out with the contact up towards turn number 2. But it is Kevin in the lead, currently with Igor in second. Isaac then is in third there, in very close proximity to the Brazilian. And then in fourth position, by the looks of things, is Josh. And they've got Jan in fifth, so Erhan has not recovered yet. Well, there we go, he is now in fifth position. So Erhan is making his way back through, but what an interesting start we've had here.
He's still got to try and make up 5 seconds to the guys in front battling for third and fourth. Obviously, we're on board with
mistake
Isaac.
there by
Isaac's
Igor.
got
Runs
the back
wide,
in.
bit of contact there between him and Isaac. Isaac not getting on the brakes well enough there at all. And actually, he lets him go through there. Fair play to the VP driver as well, that his team, Isaac's team, are very well known for being quick, but very fair. So he's made a mistake, but he's also let the driver recover and go back ahead of him.
Cut the inside. Josh Perwin's going to have some trouble holding Isaac Gillison at bay this time. They're going to go side by side as they come off Surtees up towards Pilgrim's Drop. They're going to come down the straight, and it is going to be Josh who holds onto it initially, but Isaac's going to have the momentum. Will try and cut back up towards the inside at Hawthorns. He's going to have to slot back in behind him, and as they go up the Derek Minter straight into Westfield, he'll have another opportunity, but they need to keep an eye on their rear view mirrors. This is not going to be too long before Erhan decides to come back forward. In fact, Erhan's pulled off, I think.
Oh, is he done, is he?
He's certainly...
Yeah, he's at P6
done.
right now.
Erhan is done.
He is done. He is not happy at all here. Isaac then, who's currently trying to battle with Josh here. Josh held on around the outside there absolutely wonderfully. Isaac, of course, well known for his overtaking ability, and Josh maybe not having the best of competition so far, but really showing his strength there.
What a disaster for the two title protagonists, because I don't think this story is done yet at all. There's definitely going to be an investigation into what happened up towards Druids on that first lap, so we could well be seeing a very different winner in this race, because Igor is there in second place and he's driven away from these two. We've got Josh and Isaac now snapping at each other's heels as they come out of Paddock Hill and up towards Druids again. Josh defending beautifully to that inside apex. There's not a lot Isaac can do.
Too much curb there on the power too early. And now Isaac with an opportunity down towards Graham Hill Bend. Up the inside. Is he going to get it done? No, he's not. Josh closes the door there. But a little mistake there. A little bit too much power on the curb. And of course, the wheel just steps out. And the door was wide open there. But he's held on. Josh Perwin doing very well indeed.
Well, the Australian was very good to realise he made the mistake and put the car into exactly the right position to counteract any form of assault that Isaac could have given him. So it was really nicely handled. Even though he made the error, he put himself into exactly the right place to counteract it.
But it's only going to cost both those drivers time. Eagle's now going to be able to get himself a bit further ahead of this, and he's not got no pressure anymore. I think he realises that Kevin is the standout in this race here. So Eagle maybe not going to be chasing him down, but nice bit of breathing room from third and fourth right now. And we saw yesterday on his own game, where he was supposed to be strong, didn't work out for him, but on Assetto Corsa, he really is smashing it.
This is a very frustrating moment for Erhan Yuyovski, sat in his rig currently wondering what on earth to do next, because he's now got 16 minutes of racing still to run and he is out of it, and obviously he's got to await what they decide to do.
Isaac then on the power, lovely and early there around the outside, got the brakes early to try and make the move around the final corner, but I tell you what, Josh keeps positioning that car to hold him at bay. But there we go, round turn number 1, and well, Josh has to let the man go through. Isaac there up the inside, beautifully done, left the room around the outside, and now the frustration is over.
I cannot underestimate how hard it is to get that move done into Paddock Hill Bend. He came from a fair way back as well. He just decided to take advantage of the little bit of nerves that Josh was carrying into that braking zone. He just thought, right, well, he's hesitating, boom, I'm going to put my car on the inside line and I'm not going to give him a second's hesitation. He's going to have to resist. It was really nicely done by Isaac. He made sure that that move was always going to be his, and he was never ever going to be denied.
From experience, to get the maximum out of that corner, you need to run out onto the curb on the outside. So to make an overtake and leave the room around the outside for Josh to potentially bite back if he wanted to, that's exceptional there by Isaac. But he does indeed move up to third. And next up for him then is Igor, the Brazilian, currently in second spot and doing pretty damn well. But he's 8 seconds adrift then of Kevin, who we knew was going to be strong in this race. Of course, there's been controversy on lap number 1, but ultimately he still does lead this race. Again, it's going to be super interesting to find out what's going to happen about that incident. But ultimately, Erhan isn't even in the race anymore.
Well, now you talked about Isaac being released. He is going to try and gain that ground back on Igor. I have to say, though, fair play to the Brazilian. We're riding on board with him now. Let's not forget, that he's in second position and he is still trying to learn the transition from a gaming pad to a wheel and pedals, and he is out there in second position giving it everything. He is driving beautifully in second position. He's not quite got the same raw pace that the guys behind him have, but then he's still learning by doing. He's on the job trying to get those skills fine-tuned, and he's doing an amazing job of holding on to it. His composure is second to none right now.
Yeah, this is one of the easier games in my personal experience of keeping it on track, but it's one of the hardest games to get the maximum time from your lap times, especially in race trim. And well, Igor surprising the world right now. Of course, he is a Forza specialist, but today he's come onto Assetto Corsa, and regardless of what incidents have happened around him, can't take it away from the guy. He is doing very well now in P2, but he's got the Logitech G EU, the Logitech G World Champion, and the Project Cars 2 World Champion right behind him now. There's pedigree in Isaac.
Yeah, absolutely. Isaac's going to be pushing every way he possibly can. Josh is doing everything he can to just stay in the game, but they're in second position. Igor is losing about a second a lap, but let's not forget, he's losing a second a lap to Kevin Siggy Rebenak. He is an e-racer through and through. And you've got to remember that Igor is a gamer first. He came through from other gaming titles before he even got into Forza. So he's obviously got the natural ability, but to then go into a rig with wheel and pedals and be this quick, this quickly, is just so impressive.
Yeah, there's a term for drivers of the level of Kevin, and it is alien.
Absolutely right.
But the fact is, when I first got involved with sim racing, there were a few drivers that were very, very good at multiple games, but it's so difficult now to be at the top level of multiple games. This guy's proving that's a myth. It's just incredible, everything he puts his hand to, and he's making Slovenia very proud indeed.
Josh Perwin doing everything he can to stay with these two up in front. Of course, it's not over for him at all. He's there in fourth position, and if anything happens to these two guys up front, and we've already seen a few fireworks over the course of the competition, if anything happens with these two, he is in prime position to take advantage. And let's not forget, he's riding a crest of confidence after Real Racing 3 last time out. He was not expecting to be in the top three, but he was second in the entire competition on the Real Racing 3. He is definitely on his A game at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, within racing, regardless of the first position, just getting that podium's so special for these drivers in every single race. But I tell you what, fighting in the podium right now, which could help Josh out, is Igor and Isaac. Isaac is closing that gap, but this could give Josh the opportunity. If they start going side by side, Brands Hatch, you hemorrhage time.
Oh, mistake for Igor! He's lost it! He's lost it!
Off! 360 there, 180 half spin, and Isaac's going to gain the spot. And well, actually, he's come back on ahead here of Josh, but Isaac's been gifted a position there. What's happened there?
So easy to do. He just got too far on the curb at Sheen, lost the back end of the car, trying to correct it on the white line on the right side, and he's on the throttle. The wheels are spinning, and it's just chucked the car sideways. It's so easy a mistake to make, and unfortunately, it's cost Igor a potential victory because he was in second place, and if obviously there's an investigation going on into Kevin Siggy Rebenak, that could have been a win.
Yeah, absolutely. That is what we would like to call a commentator's curse. We're geeing him up all the way to the bank, and it just makes that little mistake there. And all that was a little mistake. It was tiny, but it was magnified indeed, because if you keep your throttle pinned, and again, he would be used to the controller, like we've been saying, he's transitioning to the wheel. So, it's one thing being consistent and good around the racetrack, which is what you're here to do, but then when you make a mistake, it's to learn how to rectify it. And the only way you can learn to do that is by making mistakes, but you can't do it at this level, unfortunately.
Well, you have to say, what a comeback for Isaac Gillison. Now in second position, he had a real struggle in qualifying. He was very hot in practice, looking like he was almost spinning on the heels of Kevin. But now, from second in practice to fifth in qualifying, he would have been very uncomfortable in his position. But now he's managed to get himself through a little bit of composure, just taking it nice and easy and being in the right place at the right time and counteracting the right moves. He's got himself back in a second place, which could, of course, turn into a win.
On board here with Igor, and you can see there are a few mistakes starting to trickle in. Of course, he was in a very strong second position, so now he's driving on tilt, so he's trying to gain time where it's not necessarily available to gain. So he's just overdriving the car now, probably driving at 105%, which of course that's where mistakes creep in. But Josh, we're talking about Isaac. Josh is in that podium spot once again, and he's changed his footwear today. So yesterday he told me this morning, I like to go barefoot, but I don't really want to do that here. And I'm like, no, you leave everything on the table in this competition. If you want to go barefoot, you go barefoot. You don't want to step away and go, oh, well, maybe I could have done a little bit better if I was barefoot. Like, don't worry about that. This is sim racing. You either use socks, or you can use racing boots, you can use trainers, you can go barefoot. You can use your hands if you want, you know what I mean? We're watching Jan do that now with all of the inputs, across the competition. This is the unique setting of sim racing. It's so much more inclusive, and again, there's more parameters for people to be successful.
Absolutely. You've got to go with what works for you, and Josh has come into this competition as the the youngest member of the final 6, and he is just smashing down those barriers in terms of his lack of experience. He's just getting himself stuck in, throwing himself into the deep end and hoping he can swim.
What about the guy's smile, though? Like, constantly, he had not the greatest of performances thus far, but his smile is infectious. Like, he's part of the group, and the group are just looking at him being all happy about it. And like, as soon as I walked in this morning, it's like a ray of sunshine. I'm like, I love this guy.
Do you know what? It's this guy as well. Jan and Josh are actually very similar in that. They are totally drinking in the experience of every single second being here. They're in the McLaren TC. They are obviously representing their various titles that got them here, and they are absolutely lapping it up. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they are relishing it and taking it with every single ounce of their being.
And that's the point there. They belong here. They've qualified via the route they've qualified. No matter what anyone says, they are the best of how they've qualified. 100% fact. It's taken Jan a couple of days to come out of his shell, but today, again, he's been all smiles with all of these races and stuff, and you can never have this taken away from you.
Absolutely, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to really show what you can do. So these guys have been absolutely brilliant and always reaching their ability, and they're improving all the time, which is really good to see. They are gaining lap time every single time they go out. Here's Kevin Siggy Rebenak leading the way by a country mile, really starting to put in those lap times that are a dominant performance, but of course he's still got that lingering question mark over his head. What are they going to do about that incident into Druids on the first lap?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is a big cloud hanging over his head. But I tell you what, it's like someone's drawn him on the screen there, because his expression's not changed across this whole competition. So I don't believe that's a camera. He's just exactly the same from start to finish, which is exceptional. But I'll tell you what I noticed there, with 7 minutes 20 seconds to go, obviously Kevin is leading here, and second is Isaac, but Josh has started to slide the rear out a little bit more. He's starting to push the boundaries here. So, if there is a mistake by Isaac, he's going to pounce, I think.
The great thing about Kevin Siggy Rebenak is that he just seems to have that smooth fluidity. It's what you look for as a racing driver. He's smooth, he's solid, he's consistent. And actually Isaac is getting to that point now as well. At the start of the week he was making a couple of slight little errors, those little things that really start to trickle into your composure. You've got to remember that Isaac Gillison is one of the most disadvantaged drivers here. He came in from the Logitech G Challenger finals. He doesn't have his title here for the comfort zone. He doesn't have that. So he's had to really nail every single challenge with every ounce of his ability, and he has taken it on in flying colours, and he's doing an amazing job here.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's had to practice every single discipline we've had here in the McLaren Shadow Finals 2019, whereas other drivers here have had a break, where they've got one less to practice, if you like, this outside of their comfort zone. So, yeah, definitely disadvantaged, but he's one of those drivers that will never, ever give you an excuse either. He knows he's given 100% here, and again, he's doing very well. Again, P2, and the guy that's beating him right now has been absolutely flawless.
Josh is another one, of course. He came through from Race to Singapore on the F1 title, so this is a very different beast for him to try and tame, and he is giving it 10/10. He's never really backed down from the challenge. He's had a bit of a crisis of confidence at times, but every opportunity he's had to drop the ball, he's picked it up and run with it. He's been really, really solid.
Yeah, he's got better and better and better across this competition, and I think he's grown not only within the competition, but as a sim racer. This is a huge experience for this young man, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot from him in the future. That is for sure. 5 minutes 30 seconds to go then here. Kevin leads this race, and Isaac is in second position. Josh is in third. Eagle, with that mistake, then down into fourth place. Jan then in that top 5, and Erhan unfortunately no longer in the running.
You've got a feel for Igor Rodriguez. He's been punching well above his weight in this race. He took advantage of the fact that there was that issue into Druids and got himself into a really solid position. Very nearly took the lead of the race, let's not forget. So he has been absolutely exceptional in terms of reading the situation and putting himself in the right position.
We're on board then with Kevin, and it looks like he's actually coming up to lap Jan here. So he'll hopefully want to get that done as soon as possible. Kevin just been so strong here with 4 minutes to go. Isaac there, currently in P2, and Josh in P3. But talk about Igor. You were saying about, he may have got a bit of a gift at the start of this race with that mistake, but again, he recognised it, didn't he? He recognised the opportunity, but then his pace, almost like it was a confidence boost for him. Obviously, there was a mistake, these things happen, but his outright pace for 5 laps was incredible.
This is going to tell more about Kevin than it is about Jan, but Jan gets out of the way. I was going to say that Kevin Ziggy Rebenak needed to read that situation carefully, because it would be very easy to lose it at that particular point, because you can't rely on the back marker to do all the work for you. As the race leader, the onus is on you to do the hard work, to position your car in the right place to do the overtake, and he's read the situation perfectly. He had 2 or 3 opportunities to get past Jan there, but he sacrificed his speed, he compromised a little bit to wait until the position was best. And again, it's that intelligent thinking, it's that smart strategy, it's that problem solving while at speed that makes you a great racer, and that's exactly what McLaren are looking for.
Absolutely, yeah, that was the final hurdle really here for Kevin. He's got that massive advantage then over Isaac Gillison, 14.2 seconds. Of course, this was going to be Kevin's strong point in this championship, but like we said before, a lot of these guys have had their strongest games and not performed. So to see someone actually perform in their game, and also he's then dominated other people's games, just shows why he has been the standout thus far.
Well, he's had the speed and the pace, but the big question is he going to be allowed to keep it? Because, of course, we still don't know what's going to happen as a result of what happened. And it's tough, because when you look at that incident back again, the battle between the two of them, it is a tough one to call. You can't really say that Kevin has sized up the inside and rammed Erhan out the way. You can't say that. In the same time, you can't say that Erhan has chucked across on him and blocked him. It's a really tough one. They're both battling for the same bit of racetrack. They both want the lead. They both want the victory. They're both determined. So it's hard to know whether there's actually an intent there to push a driver aside to get the victory, or whether it's a racing incident. I would not want to be one of the adjudicators at this point.
And that is a beautiful thing. We're casters. We can just talk about it. We don't have to make these decisions, but I do love a bit of controversy. I'm not going to lie. 2 minutes remain then, so 1.5 laps remaining here at Brands Hatch. And it is Kevin Ziggy Rebenak who leads the way. Isaac Gillison is in P2, then Josh Perwin is in P3. We've got Igor Oliveira Rodriguez then in P4. And then we've got Jan, who is in P5. And then, of course, Erhan, unfortunately, not in this race. They're representing Macedonia. 12 laps down, so we're heading towards the last lap of this race. We're on board with Josh then. You can see he's wrestling with that wheel, and I think he's grown in confidence throughout this race here, and he's taking more risk with the limits of the track. He's using a bit more curb, and maybe if we had another race, we would see him really, really perform.
This has been the stand-up performance for me for Josh Perwin. He's really risen to the challenge, and considering he's been so on the back foot throughout this competition, Real Racing 3 yesterday was always going to be a little bit of a lottery to a certain extent, but he managed to make the best of his lap, and he's taken that confidence and really upped his game. He's been absolutely on it. He's made a couple of tiny errors in this race, but nothing that's really going to cause a massive problem. This man for me, though, Isaac Gillison, he's the driver of the race for me. He started 5th. He was out of sorts through the qualifying session, but he's got himself into exactly the right position to take advantage of other people's misdemeanors. He's put himself in 2nd place, and this is really a very mature and composed attitude and drive from Isaac. He's been an absolute star in this one.
Yeah, you can see in the camera shots, though, they're just so composed, all of these drivers here. But you can see who's wrestling with the wheel, who's got that more aggressive style than others, and you can see the inputs from people like Isaac, people like Kevin. They're just, I don't know, I can't drive like that, that's for sure. Yeah. It looks like we will have one more lap remaining then of this race. So he has indeed crossed the line here, and well, it's just like a final swan song for him there. He probably could have slowed down and crossed the line with the timing. So basically, when the timer gets down to 0, if you've already crossed the line, you will indeed get to complete that lap. So it is Kevin Rebenak then in 1st position, in 2nd is Isaac, and in 3rd is Josh.
Now, some people will have asked, why didn't he just slow down and not do an extra lap? There's a reason why he's pushed it to go an extra lap. Because there's that impending investigation, they might hand out a time penalty. So he's got to try and get as much of an advantage over the guy behind him as he physically can. So you can't afford to slow up. He's just got to keep pushing. Every lap in this race has been like a qualifying lap for Kevin Ziggy Rebenak, because he just doesn't know what the outcome's going to be. You've got to ignore the incident and just drive your socks off.
Absolutely spot on there, Jake. Well spotted indeed. And again, you say qualifying lap after qualifying lap. He is still lapping. He's done a 24.1. He's quicker than actually he was in qualifying by 0.3 of a second here. And actually, he's quicker than his quickest practice run, which was a 24.2 as well here. But Kevin then comes up towards the final couple of corners here. And of course, pending an investigation, it's looking very likely that he will be picking up the victory. We've got one corner remaining here then for the McLaren Shadow 2019 Assetto Corsa Competizione race. And there we go, negotiates that nicely. He's got the gravel to contend with. It's not going to matter here. So provisionally, it will be Kevin Siggy Rebenak who picks up the victory and the checkered flag. In second spot will be Isaac Gillison, racing from the Netherlands. And then in third spot is going to be Josh Perwin.
It's a great drive from Kevin Siggy Rebenak. You can't really take it away from him. He's been absolutely on point. He's driven beautifully throughout. Obviously, Druids notwithstanding, it's been flawless. So now he's just got to try and figure out what's going to happen next. He's just got to continue on in that same mode. Isaac Gillison, great performance from him in second place. A real standout performance from the Dutchman. Here across the line, Josh Perwin, third place. The youngest man in the competition, doing a sensational job again and really raising his game. Now, they're going to have a conversation about this with Kevin Siggy Rebenak and Erhan Yujovski, but Erhan is not an unreasonable bloke and neither is Kevin. They'll have a fair conversation about it and they will let the adjudicators do what they need to do, but you can't take away from either of them over the course of this competition. They've been standout stellar performers, and whoever comes out on top of this competition out of either of them, they will have earned it.
So after that turn 1 incident, it looks like we are going to have an adjudication process on it. Crazy times. The race win rests on this.
Yeah, it's really close, and we don't know which way the adjudication is going to go. Is Kevin Siggy Rebenak going to be able to keep his victory or not? And how is that going to affect the championship? It's all very, very close. And of course, we still don't really know what the improvement points are going to dish out from the track day. So that's all to play for as well. It's still an incredibly open competition at this point.
If you enjoyed this race, check out the full finals coverage on the channel. There's a link in the description below.